For decades, InterLux has been really great at helping designers create lighted coves. We're going to go through some of their Cove offering now, and you'll see that the profiles have gotten smaller with the introduction of integral LED, and even easier to deal with from a contractor and specification standpoint. We are looking at box Cove now. Now, box Cove is the line voltage option here for a built-out Cove. And I'm going to show you something here. So, of course, this is the view looking down into the fixture. And there you can see that same LED, that tight pitch LED, illuminating that lens. And as I back out, that's exactly what that lens is going to look like. Now, as I get up here, I'm going to turn this down, and now this is obviously the viewpoint you would actually have of this fixture. You're never going to be looking down into a Cove like this, or at least you shouldn't be. And what you'll see as I sort of come around here is exactly what that light distribution is, right? It's just cutting in that asymmetric throw up and out into the ceiling, and then into my little storage loft there. And then as I look up into my full ceiling directly above it, you can see just how much light I'm getting as you get to that full ceiling. So it's a really beautiful performer. And now if you're looking at this box Cove dimension, you can see that this is a completely pre-built Cove. This is just line voltage coming into this guy with a dimming driver on the inside. So all your contractor has to do is provide power and dimming, and then this can be wall mounted via a bracket in the back and made into a beautiful asymmetric Cove to light your ceilings with a completely integrated, clean solution. Edgeless Cove. Again, coming in from above, you see that same LED engine lit up, tight pitch LEDs, and then as you back out, that creates a beautiful line of light. And I'll tell you, just you have to trust me, via the naked eye, you'll never see those LED diodes, and if you look up against the chip wall here, you can see there's no diode imaging. Now, from the viewpoint that you're actually going to see this from, you can see that light performance, right? Throwing that light out forward and lighting up into the storage loft, the ever messy storage loft. A couple of things to know about this. So, what you're seeing here for the sample is an end cap, right? So if you have a situation where you'd be able to see into the edge of this Cove, InterLux can provide end caps for it, so you won't be able to see in there. I'm going to come around and show you what happens when there's no end cap. If this has to butt up against the wall, let me get this cable out of your way, you can see the extrusion right there. Now the other nice thing about this view is it kind of explains how this works. So you're going to support the edgeless Cove from below, and then right here is another piece where you can support this fixture, and then you can mud up into this little trench right there. I'll actually zoom in on it for you so you can see what I'm talking about. You can mud to this here, so if you want to integrate this completely into the wall, no problem. It's just a matter of using that little mud ridge there and then supporting this from below. So this can be wall bracketed in and supported from below to create a completely integrated Cove pocket. What I think is really nice is how this shoots out into the ceiling and the kind of asymmetric or faux asymmetric. Now look, optically speaking, there's nothing about that lens that's doing anything to put more light out here than it is out here. This is about that natural glow, and by shaping the light with that Cove pocket, again, coming into this viewpoint and looking out, you have a very quiet knife edge detail. I'm going to come up again, do a quick pan, and you can see how good that light is from just one little source. And these are 18-inch samples, so imagine if this was a line of light. Okay, so I think it's important at this point to recognize that these knife edge Coves are, and any of these Cove shapes really require details and integration. And when you go on the InterLux website, what you're going to find are really beautiful section details that show how these are supposed to work in the field. It does take coordination with your architect, or if you are an architect, it's going to take some coordination with InterLux to make sure that your dimensions are correct and that your contractor understands how this is all supposed to work. That said, when you get a contractor on board that wants to do these kinds of details, InterLux is a fantastic job partner. They're going to work with you on how to get this laid out and installed. Right now, this can ship as extrusion that is field cuttable, and then the gear tray, the LED portion of it up here, that is shipped separately about a week to 2 weeks later. And the idea is that this is built to field dimensions. So if you've gone ahead and you've cut this edgeless cove, right? You've shipped, let's say it's a 14-foot wall. You ship 15 feet of it, and wall turns out to be 14'8". Contractor cuts off 4 inches of this, and now you've got a 14'8" wall run. Now when they ship these LED boards, they're going to ship you 14 feet. I believe the cut increment is 6 inches, but whatever the cut increment is, they're going to cut you just a little bit less than that of the LEDs, fit them into gear trays, and ship them. So all the contractor has to do is screw them into place, plug them into their power supplies, and call it installation. All right, so this is something a little different. You see that little LED engine in there? This is not integral to the extrusion. This is the 20 series linear extrusion. Now, if you've been following along with InterLux for a little while, you know what the 20 series is. It is a 20 millimeter linear source that can provide different optics. It's giving you a mild graze effect. Okay, so as I back out of here, you're going to see what I'm talking about. There's that grazer. Now, it's a little tough to tell. There's definitely some spill light coming forward here. A little of that is intentional, right? This is not meant to be a tight graze optic, because you're probably not going to do a knife edge cove to accomplish a graze like this. But the point of this little demonstration is to show you that the 20 series is sold in many different form factors for many different reasons. So forgive the sample and this little separation at the end cap. That's just from being banged around. What happens instead here is, imagine this 20 series as an under cabinet light, as a linear ambient light, as something that you can mount to acoustical tile ceilings, right? Lots of different possibilities for the 20 series. So what we're going to talk about, though, in this particular application is the 20 series is snapped into the extrusion here, and then these little teeth here allow you to manipulate which position this is in. As you look at this, and when I get this up against the wall, I'm going to turn this out this way so you can see what I'm talking about. This is designed to throw light up the wall, straight up the wall, okay? Now, why do you want to do this? A couple of reasons. One, it shrinks that mini cove, right? So we looked before at that miniature cove. That took up this entire board, right? This entire 6-inch board was occupied by the structure of the mini cove. When you go to the 20 series, you shrink everything down. Now, obviously, you're a remote driver here, but really tiny detail, really a nice little extrusional detail, and the optics of the 20 series to get the light up the wall. So it's another option, right? You're doing a tight, narrow hallway and you want to throw light up a barrel vault ceiling or something kind of an interesting detail like that. This is a way to do an integrated solution that looks beautiful, but also gives you some optics. This is a better sense for how this looks. As I come this way, there you go. Much better view of what this is doing as you get up the wall. Very gentle. Really nice soft graze with a natural cutoff. And as I get down here, which is the viewpoint that you would have below the ceiling, that's what you're doing up in that barrel. Okay, corners you say? Okay, so let's say you've got a raft ceiling, right? One of these details where, you know, your set ceiling is here and then you've got to drop down and you want to illuminate around that perimeter and you want to do an outside corner. Well, we've got you covered. So this obviously also works for an inside corner, right? So I have this a little bit overexposed just to sort of show you what happens here. So you may be concerned, like, well, how are you going to get the LEDs to the corner, right? Well, you don't. So don't stress about that. What happens is the LEDs come to here and there is a little bit of a dark spot. But again, this is all about viewing angle. One of the things I really hate is when you go to a lighting demonstration like I'm doing right now, and they show you the fixture in a way that it's never intended to actually be installed, right? So you're never supposed to look down on this. You're never supposed to see that. What are you supposed to see? This is much more the lighting effect you're going to get. I'm standing back about, say, 18 to 24 inches off this wall, nice and level, and you see how there's just a little bit of light kicking up here. So now I'm illuminating that rafted ceiling that's above me. Really nice, clean, even illumination. And that little itty bitty dark spot there is never going to be visible as you bury it into the corner there. Okay, so there you have it. This is a pretty simple demonstration because really when it comes to Cove lighting and InterLux is the shape you're looking for and the performance. So once you've bought into this methodology of building out pre-built coves and shipping them to the job site, it becomes pretty straightforward as far from a lighting perspective because it's really about output, color temperature, dimming, all the things that are pretty standard options that as a lighting specifier you're going to know. It really becomes about which one of these shapes are you going to put on the job, which one of these shapes are going to work best with your architecture, and then working with InterLux to coordinate that. You know, these shapes here, there are dozens of these varieties, box coves and Z coves and J coves and mini coves and 20 series coves. It would be impossible to go through all of them right now. So what I'm encouraging you to do now is, you should be looking at the website, look at those different shapes, and then message me or give me a call and we can book an in-person presentation or a Zoom and really go through your project application and start to figure out which one of these tools is best for what you're trying to get done. And so that's really the heart of what it is when it comes to coves and InterLux. A lot of different options for wall grazing, ceiling grazing, wall washing, and getting beyond this idea of optical asymmetric and getting toward really shaping the light with the extrusion that you're putting the source in. So, message me, let me know what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.